Hi, I'm Matt.
Hi, Matt.
What's your name?
Danielle Galloway.
Could you please tell us where you live?
I live 942 Mount Pleasant Avenue.
And how long have you lived in Mount Pleasant?
I have lived in Mount Pleasant all of my 39, soon to be 40 years.
Do you like it?
I love it. I love living in Mount Pleasant. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. My parents grew up in the same neighborhood, and their parents grew up in the same neighborhood. So, I love it.
So how many years, do you know how many years, your family started living in Mount Pleasant?
That I don't know. My mother, she used to live in a house around the corner where she grew up at with her parents. So I'm not sure how long my grandparents were living in, if they moved from somewhere else or what. I'm not sure. My father grew up in the house across the street with his grandmother from the house where I live at now. So, but I mean, as far as I've known, they've always been there.
How, from when you were growing up at Mount Pleasant,
Mm-hmm.
how much would you say has changed since when you were growing up? Has it changed at all, or?
I mean, the only thing that's changed is, when you get older, some people tend to move out, people tend to stay, but nothing has really, growing up as a kid, we used to do a lot of things in the neighborhood as kids, but now, the generations now, they don't do the stuff that we used to do when we were young. All they want to do is sit home
Did you get in trouble a lot, or no?
I did. I was not, I wasn't, the best kid ever, but, I did my little sneaky things and got in trouble.
Kid. You always got in trouble.
Yeah, I didn't get in trouble all the time. There were kids who got in trouble all the time, but I didn't get in trouble all the time. But I did my fair share of mischief, so,
Did you have a curfew or no?
Well, the one good thing about living in my neighborhood is that majority of everyone is family.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was going to be out late at night, next door was Pop Bird's house, and he, all my aunts and uncles would be out on the porch sometimes till late talking and whatever and whatnot and having fun. So we kids, as long as they were on the porch, we would be allowed to be outside as long as somebody was out there. So, I mean, I really didn't have a curfew. Not really. I mean, I just go inside whenever I wanted to, but they were never out there extremely long. So.
If you had to change anything at Mount Pleasant, would you change it?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Would you want the generations now to be more involved the way they were before?
I would. I would want them to be. Yes, I would. Because they don't, they don't get involved like that anymore. So, we used to have, like I said, we used to have a lot of fun when we would be outside. But other than that, no, they don't do too much.
I have a fun question for you.
Okay.
What was the funnest thing that you did when you were growing up that didn't involve you getting in trouble? Well, I can admit it if you want.
That was, we would be outside playing hide and seek.
Manhunt?
Manhunt was probably something your generation really did. But as far as us, we would be outside playing hide and seek. That's all we really did. When we were younger, we played hide and seek. During the day, my sister and a lot of my other cousins her age, they had mini bikes. So during the day, we'd be outside riding the mini bikes a lot of times.
That's motorcycle?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, actually, we still have my sister's mini bike. It's a 73. It's a 1973 Honda.
Does your daughter drive it, or do you drive it?
I did have it fixed, and something else went on it. But yeah, my cousin taught my daughter how to ride it, and switch the gears on it because it goes by gears.
Probably be going crazy, just crash into something.
It was so much fun because even my mother got on it the one day and she rode it on
Really?
down the street. And yeah, we used to ride those as kids all the time. So that was one of the like majority of the older kids, my sister's age, they had, all of them had like a 4-wheeler or they had mini bikes. All the girls actually had mini bikes.
That actually we used to have like mini scooters that we used to drive around.
I did get my daughter an electronic scooter when she was younger, but these are gas powered 3 gears mini bikes.
Wow.
Yes.
Could you tell us the names of your parents?
Yes. My father's name, Clayton Galloway Sr. My mother is Cynthia Galloway.
Could you tell us like more about them, like their occupation?
Well, my father passed away about, it'll be going on 8 years ago, but he worked for a company called Quaker Chemical. He was a forklift driver there for years until he retired. He retired and he became my babysitter once I had my daughter. So, but my mother, she retired 2 years ago, and she worked for Tredyffrin Easttown School District. She goes back and forth. She still subs in the cafeteria.
You said you had a sister. Do you have other siblings? Or?
I do. I have a younger brother. I'm the middle child.
How's that?
It's all right. They say the middle child is the worst. It can go back and forth between me and my sister. But my brother, he's the quiet, laid back one. Me, I'm quiet and laid back until
Until you start talking.
Until somebody just gets on my nerves. So, but other than that, I'm pretty cool, laid back.
What does your sister do? Or your...
My sister, she has some health problems, so she doesn't work. So, and she lives in Phoenixville.
What do you do?
I work for Vanguard. I work for the mutual fund company. I have been there. It'll be 14 years that I've been there. Come this summer.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I process asset transfers.
As far as having college students live in Mount Pleasant, like, could you tell us how you feel about that or your opinion on it?
Well, my opinion on that is I'm okay with it as long as they are respectful, and considerate to a lot of the older, generations that live in our neighborhood, because there are a lot of older folks that live in our neighborhood, and as long as they're respectful when it comes to the little ones out in, when they're up and down the street, because the kids like to be in the middle of the street. There's not a whole lot of traffic all the time in my neighborhood, where we've always been able to be out in the middle of the street. But some of the students tend to, like it's a racing strip and want to fly up and down the street. And it's like every time you hear somebody out on the porch, it's slow down. And it's like, they just need to be mindful of that. That's all. Other than that, I could care less. And a lot of them, ever since, let's see, I think I was in high school, there's been college kids that have been
really
in my neighborhood.
When were you in high school?
Because I graduated in 92.
Wow, that was a year before I was born.
So, it was like maybe like the first group that actually moved in across the street from my parents' house. They were a great group, and I still see the one guy because he actually works at Bryn Mawr Hospital in the emergency room. So when I'm intending to bring my daughter there when she's hurt, I do see him. But they were great. They always played with my brother, and then they would have water gun fights. One guy, I think he worked for a fire company, so he had like the big hose thing, and I went out, brought my brother a big super soaker that he could put on his back and everything. They would go at it, all the young bulls and them. So, I mean, right now I don't have nothing to complain about them. I mean, I see them, they do speak, and, I'm okay with it.
These are the kids that are living there now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's been some incidents, where I guess there was a party going on across the street, and a guy tried to get into my mother's house.
Oh, wow.
He was drunk, so he had no idea he was at the wrong house. So, I mean, hey,
So
stuff happens.
What's your take on parties, though? Like, does it, like, annoy you when, like, college kids are
No.
parties? No?
No, I mean, I go out, I party. I expect you guys to party. I expect college students to party. This is y'all's time to be away from mom and dad, and for y'all to act a fool, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But at the same time, when you're living in a neighborhood, period, you guys do have to be mindful of the people around, but nobody has a problem with it as long as, like the music's cut down to a certain degree at a certain time. You guys can party all you want. I could care less. Mm-hmm. As long as it's not bothering me, I don't care. But every now and again, things are going to get out of hand. So, It's to be expected.
It's life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sometimes things get too out of hand, and then the cops roll in. But that's beside the point.
Yeah, like I said, there's been some incidents where there's been some girls running up and down the street naked in the neighborhood and things like that. So
I hope those weren't Cabrini students.
I don't know. I just was like, okay. It's you guys are teenagers, young adults, and things are going to happen. It is what it is.
When you were growing up, I'm sorry to switch the subjects. Did you deal with racism at all, or did you have to experience anything with racism with other kids in the neighborhood?
Not really. Only because I was well liked by a lot of the white kids in school. I would go over there. I was welcome to their houses, spent the night. Their parents were always welcomed me, no problem. I've never really, as a young child, experienced it. Getting older, yes, I have, but, as a child, no.
Did you see it around you?
Not really. And I may have and just didn't recognize it. But not too much. No, not too much.
What about your parents?
I know my father, yes. My father, I know, with him, talking with him, he did experience a lot of racism. He did when he was younger.
Was it did the kids do harsh things to them, or is it just things that they said?
I think it was majority of things that was said to him, but, my father's not the type of man to actually back down, and he's going to, say whatever it is that needs to be said, or whatever. But other than that, no.
You're talking more than us.
I'm still stuck on the teenager thing, because, we have such a bad reputation, I guess. And I don't know, I feel like even though it's expected, it's kind of a shame at the same time. I don't know.
Yes, but, my daughter's 18. My daughter's 18, and, when she goes off to college, do I expect her to do dumb things? Yes, as, I did dumb things as a teenager. I expect all teenagers to do dumb things. And that's just the way that I look at it. I'm not, am I mad about the situations that have happened throughout with the college kids being in the neighborhood? No. Can it get to be annoying? Yes. But once again,
Are you married?
No. No.
Were you married?
No.
No. Okay.
Does your daughter like living in Mount Pleasant also?
Well, she has no choice, but she don't mind it. She don't mind it at all. You know, I have always said if I, didn't have her, I think growing up in Mount Pleasant is the best place you could be. With bringing up a child, and I brought her up there as as I was brought up there. If I didn't have her, would I be in Mount Pleasant? I really don't know. Sometimes I say no, sometimes I say yes. It's gotten real quiet in Mount Pleasant though. But she says it's boring. Well, it's only boring because you choose to stay in the house and don't do any of the things that we used to do as kids. Yeah. Sometimes me and my cousins, my older cousins, we talk on Facebook about a lot of the stuff that used to go on when we were kids and the stuff that we used to do a lot of times. And, but these kids nowadays, they want to stay in the house. They got cell phones, they got computers.
Do you think there's a way to, like, bring that back up?
Well, I mean,
like encourage
our
it
generation had that. Like, I went out and I played. And then at some point, like, I guess, like, once it got to be, like, junior or senior year of high school, I started seeing a really big change with kids. Like, the neighborhood, I moved senior year of high school, and I'd walk outside of my neighborhood and be a completely sunny day out. I'd be like, why isn't there any kids out here playing right now?
Right.
Like, it's a beautiful neighborhood, and it feels like a ghost town right now.
Yeah.
So that's like...
Well, the one good thing is that, we have the playground now. So once the weather starts to break and it starts getting warm, we'll be up to the playground. Like, the guys always go, they play basketball. So a lot of times when I come home from work, I'll go drive around there and just see who's up there. And a lot of us will just go up there and chill and, watch the guys play basketball, and the kids will be out there playing or whatever. Like, a lot of us in my neighborhood, between basketball and baseball, is kind of like what we like to do in my neighborhood.
Do you think it has anything to do with, like, a parent's role in why kids are, like, not going out and playing? Or do you think it's just, like, our society today that, like, makes kids...
I think it's just society. I mean, kids have the cell phones. It's not like when I was growing up, we didn't have cell phones. We just had the house phone. And if you wanted to either talk to somebody, you call the house or whatever, or you walk around or walk to their house. It's just not like I can text you and say, well, what are you doing? Well, Mama, what are you doing? That you can't. Now there's so much technology nowadays that all of that stuff is out the door. So you don't actually have to, there's no more tying up the house phone because you got a cell phone. So
when did your daughter first get a cell phone?
Believe it or not, I got my daughter her first cell phone when she was like 9.
Really?
Yeah, I just got her a prepaid phone. I got her a little prepaid phone that she could, just... There's so much nowadays going on, and it's like, I wanted her to have the phone, she going to school and everything else. So many different things go on, It's not like, us, like, we didn't have a whole lot of crap nowadays, but, back then. But now, but she's had a cell phone since she was 9.
I didn't get my first one until I was a sophomore in high school. My parents just refused. They were like, no, not at all.
I got 3 of them from 7th grade till 10th grade. Broke all 3 of them. I jumped into Wooders, but then got yelled at. So, and then finally I got cases for them.
Right.
I was like, this is so you don't break your phone. Just, like, come on, man.
Yeah, well, my daughter refuses to. She has a case for her phone, but she refuses. She likes to keep it in her pocket or whatever. And I'm like, look, you keep dropping your phone. I keep telling you, put it in the case. Now, if you drop it this time, you on your own. You're going to pay for your own phone. That's it. I'm not paying for no more phones.
What high school does your daughter go to?
She goes to Conestoga.
Is that where you went?
Conestoga's my home school. I actually went to the tech school in Phoenixville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you play any sports or?
I did play sports. I played softball for years. I played softball for about 11 or 12 years. I played for Devon Stratford Little League when I first started out, and then when I got to middle school, I played there. But playing softball, I was the only black girl, the only black period who played in the Little League for a lot of years. When I got to high school, when I got to junior high school, I played, my 7th grade year, I played for junior varsity, and then when 8th grade, I started playing for the varsity team, which a lot of the older girls did not like that.
Isn't that where you were supposed to be playing?
No, I should have probably still played junior varsity until my 9th grade year, because a lot of the older girls.
6th grade to 9th grade.
I was that good that I could play for varsity, which is the thing. And a lot of the older girls who went out for varsity didn't make the team, but somebody younger made the team, which was, they had a problem with. So, yeah, I played on traveling teams. I was picked a lot of times to play on traveling teams, district league. I was MVP for a couple of years. So.
Did you notice any, or do you now notice any inequalities or like any injustices when it comes to the whole Mount Pleasant community? Like as far as like the vacant lots going around, that are around, like does that bother you or like?
It does, only because, it's sad because growing up, those houses were always there. Those houses were always occupied because actually there's one next to my mother's house, and that was my cousin's house. And to see those houses gone, my uncle's house that was down at the bottom of the street, that house is gone. It is. It's hard to see that a lot of times. I've gotten used to it, but it is hard to deal with because it's like those houses have always been there, and hopefully somebody will want to pick up the property and maybe build a house or whatever on the property.
Is there any way that the college students or just the town as a whole could make a fundraiser or something to get money for the vacant lot? Do you think there's any way that the college students could help?
The one next to my mother, that one is kind of, it's so much property, and the way that it is, it would be kind of hard, that needs to be handled by somebody different. There's not a whole lot of vacant lots in my neighborhood, but I guess it would be hard to say. There's only really one down at the bottom of the street where my uncle's house used to be, but that other one next to my mother's house would be kind of hard to deal with, to rate, it's a kind of difficult situation with that property. So yeah, it's a total mess, and a whole bunch of big boulders that's in that they weren't supposed to put in there, and it really needs to be cleaned out. They had truckloads coming and dumping that stuff there, and it wasn't supposed to be.
Do you know what happened? There's the one, I don't know if it's the vacant lot you're talking about. There's condominiums behind it and stuff.
That's down at the bottom of the street.
Do you know what happened with that lot, or do you know what happened with the guy that bought it?
You mean next to Miss Maisie's garden?
So, yeah.
I don't know exactly what went on with that I don't know if I thought maybe the people who own that property, they bought that because there's a sign that's on there. So somebody else must have brought it from the gentleman who did own the property. So.
Do you think that Mount Pleasant should have more attention brought to it than what they already have in terms of people helping and like bringing up the community again?
I mean, attention is always good for any neighborhood as long as it's the right attention. But I do believe Mount Pleasant has always got a bad rap. And I don't know if it's because it's always been one of those small black neighborhoods that have always existed, because whenever people from Philadelphia be like, where do you live? And I tell them I don't tell them Wayne, I tell them King of Prussia, because that's, well known. And they're like, you live out there? Really? There's black people that live out there? And I'm like, yeah, there's plenty of us that live out here, But, when they always say, when I say the main line, they always think money, money, money. And it's not money, money, money. But I think, the right attention would be a good thing for our neighborhood, and they need to understand, a lot of people need to understand that, when we had Miss Maisie and everybody else there, like, they did a lot. And, we had the community center when my parents were growing up. It would be nice to have another community center or something, for kids to go to and everything else. We have the chapel, but the chapel's small, and, the kids go up there and do homework, but it would be nice to have another, nice community center.
Do you think that Mount Pleasant gets bad attention?
I think they do a lot of times. And it may not be currently because of stuff, now. It could, I think a lot of it has to do with, some stuff in the past. So.
I don't know. I find that, like, really sad. 'Cause,
yeah.
Like, I always feel like the need to, like, help all the time. So, like, I would love to be, like, one of those people, like, just, I don't know, tell, like, the dean of students here or something like that, like, well, you should just make, like, a huge project and, like, help out this community, and just to see how that would work. It's like, I just don't feel like it's fair, because, like, you're seeing the difference of, like, the condominiums that are built behind an empty lot, and how we see how those neighborhoods get a whole much more attention if just one little thing goes wrong. But Mount Pleasant has so many things that are wrong, and no one's paying them any mind. I just feel like that's such an injustice.
There's Wayne, and then there's, like, some other township, and there's Mount Pleasant. So it's like Wayne is always getting the attention that it always has gotten.
Right.
And there's Mount Pleasant.
Right.
Yeah, like, I honestly never heard of Mount Pleasant until this semester, because I took the class. But, like, I didn't, no one ever says that. They literally say, like,
Mount Pleasant. That's it.
But that's there's 3 streets to Mount Pleasant. It's always been, we've always called it Mount Pleasant, or Plez, as the younger generations call it now, which is Mount Pleasant, which is the street I live on, Henry Avenue, and Fairview Avenue. But, it's kind. I understand what you're saying. I wouldn't say we're in like we're comfortable. We're okay. We're fine.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But every now and again, there's going to be, an issue, a situation, and that goes for any neighborhood. But do we get more attention when it comes to a bad situation? Yes, because I'm sorry to say it, but we are, considered a black neighborhood. So that's just the way that it is. But, we keep on moving. It's, we're so used to it. It really doesn't bother us. We make the best of any situation, and that's that.
Is there a lot of, like, white people living in Mount Pleasant? Or?
There have been families, white families that have grew up in Mount Pleasant, and who still have homes in Mount Pleasant. The gentleman down the street, I grew up with his kids. I've known his girls since they, were younger. He's lived there he's known me since I was a little girl. when he had did his sidewalk, my handprints are in the sidewalk down at his
Still
house. I think they are. I know he did something with his house, you know, so I don't know if it was covered up or not, but me and his girls, I used to go down to his house and play all the time. So, you know.
I feel like people stereotype, like how, like, just like both ways, like how black people are to white people and how white people are to black people.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have a white family that
Mm-hmm.
is completely fine with the black family. So I feel like I'd be the same way.
Right. I don't have a problem.
People.
I don't have a problem at all. You know, unless someone comes off disrespectful, then that's when it turns a whole different way. Other than that, you know, I could care less. You know, you deal with the situation at hand, and as long as people are continue to be courteous or whatever, I'm okay with it. I don't have a problem with it. You know, I see people, look, college kids, they walk up and down the street, they say hi, I say hi, or I'll say hi, they say hi. It ain't no big thing to me. I don't see, I guess, you know, I don't really see black and white like that. It's just, it is what it is. I don't care what color you are. You know, I have my dad's aunt is half black, half white, so it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
So.
Do you feel like our society puts a big strain on racism?
I think they do. You know, to a certain degree, they do. You know, but I mean, that's all in how other people deal with it. You know, it's up to you to deal with it. You know, no matter what you do, you're going to deal with racism every day. You know, regardless. So, you know, it's just the way of the world. You know, I can deal with racism with dealing with another black person. So.
Huh. Wow. I don't know where to go from that.
Do you see an improvement when it comes to racism, like back then and now?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's all in how the person is, you know, and that's how that person's upbringing is. So, I try to teach my daughter the best when it comes to racism. She has a lot of, you know, white friends at school, and she's very respectful. The parents love her, and but it's going to be different now that I'm older. It has turned different. I don't see it a whole lot. So I'm okay with it.
How has it changed? Like what exactly has happened that has made it change?
I think we're kind of more, you know, accepted on different levels. On certain levels, we're more accepted than when I was younger. You know, when some certain things I would see, but I think now that you know, and especially me, being that I work for a huge mutual fund company, I feel I'm more accepted, you know, at my job. At least at my job I am. So.
Huh. I still don't know where to go. Well, that one's crossed off because you don't have a husband, so. I think we've covered like most of the things we want to cover. It's been like 40 minutes, I think. Has it really been 40 minutes?
I have no idea.
don't know what else to talk about.
I hope I answered all y'all's questions.
You did
No,
great.
you did. You did a great job,
Yeah.
actually.
Probably gonna give us a good grade, so that's good.
I hope so.
Because I don't know what else.
I think that's all we can talk about.
Yeah. You did a great job.
I tried.
Thank you.
tried. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, thank you.
I tried.
Thank you for talking to us.
Yeah,
Thank you for asking. You know.
And
thank
I
you
did
for
have the
asking.
wrong number for a while, but I was actually calling the wrong number. I don't know if I told you that. Because instead of instead of a 0, I put a 1. So and
Yeah,
on
they've
the
given us
sheet
the wrong number.
it was a 1 instead of a 0.
Oh, you got it from cousin Barbara from Barbara Bird.
So I was probably calling some random person's house for
Oh.
3 weeks, and then finally I called Barbara, and I was like, yeah. She's not picking up. She's like, oh, I gave you the wrong number. I was like, thanks.
Yeah, cousin Barbara never told me that.
Is she your cousin?
Technically, okay. By blood, no. But
Mhm.
being that we all grew up in the same neighborhood, she is my cousin. I would never tell nobody any different. You would never know. I would introduce her to you as my
As your
cousin,
cousin.
and that's it. My uncles across the street, no, they're not my blood relatives, but they grew up with my parents, therefore they are my uncles, my aunts. No matter their kids or my cousins, and that's the way that it is in my neighborhood.
That's great.
Yes.
It's like
That
a
really
big,
is nice.
big family.
It is. It is. My mom has sisters that live in the neighborhood too, so, you know, that's my best friend lives in the neighborhood too, so I'm okay.
See, like, I wish like my neighborhood had it, because like, I literally have a neighbor right next to me, and I have no idea who they are. I'll say hi to them, they'll say hi to me. And it's like, I'll be like, what do I say to them now? Because they're like so intent on what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I just wish I had like a neighborhood where like I knew everybody.
Yeah.
Just love them.
Yeah, and you would never know who's family and who's not in my neighborhood, because you're going to be introduced as, you know, this is my uncle, this is my aunt. My dad's best friend is my dad's best friend is my godfather. He's my uncle. His wife is my aunt. You know, that's just how it is. You know, so yeah.
That's how mine is too. Like, I live in an apartment, and I'm from New York.
Mm-hmm.
No idea who lives in front of me or on the floor upstairs.
Right.
No idea. No clue whatsoever.
Yeah, that's the one good thing about my neighborhood is everybody in my neighborhood is related somehow.
Mhm.
You know, so that, and it's always been that way, because all the generations have grown up, you know, living in that neighborhood. So I'm okay. You know, it's nice, you know, because usually when I come outside and if I'm on the phone with somebody and I'm like, hey uncle or hey auntie or however, they're like, you live this close to your family? I'm like, yeah, my whole neighborhood's nothing but family. So, yeah,
So nice.
it was kind of be if I
Jealous.
got in trouble around the corner, by the time I got home, a phone call was already made to my parents that I did something around the corner. So, yeah, it's cool.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hope y'all get a good grade.
Well, again, thank you so much for talking to us.
Oh, it's no problem. It was my pleasure. My pleasure. I enjoyed the talk. I just hope I was.
I'll make sure not to call you Mrs. Galloway.
Yes, don't do that.
Okay.
No.
I'll call you Danielle.
If not, I would come up here and we'll fight.
Alright.